the Pacific
All right, guys.
is our fleet. A gun loaded with explosive bullets, economic as well as military.
I'm not sure where we really go from here. We were really, really successful on that front. I mean, we got to break the Soviet Union's back, but I'm going to take a little bit of a break here, and I'm going to go grab something to eat, and we'll go from there. There is danger ahead. Hey, Enoch, how are you? Yeah, Havocs, I know. All right, let me put on a documentary here, and we'll go from there. Yep, 25, booster 8, booster 7, and 24. Yep. Okay, that's not gonna work. Here, let's try this one. All right, let me change up the title, guys. I'll be back in a moment.
Space is open to us now, and our eagerness to share its meaning is not governed by the efforts of others. We go into because whatever mankind must undertake, free men must fully share. I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
Before 1970, Americans will land an odd-looking spacecraft on the surface of the moon, step out, and walk across the lunar landscape. The government agency meeting the challenge of the manned lunar landing program, as well as other space explorations, is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. One of NASA's major installations devoted to achieving the goals of the nation's space programs is the John F. Kennedy Space Center, launch site for the Apollo Saturn V. From here, under direction of a government industry launch team, astronauts will begin their journey to the moon. For the first time, the free world had undertaken development of an operational spaceport. Its design and construction was one of the nation's greatest engineering challenges. The immensity of the project required the joint efforts of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration and the Department of Defense, as well as the technical skills of American industry. An operational spaceport, rather than a research and development facility, was conceived by Dr. Kurt Debus and his staff of NASA engineers. Plans for the mobile concept of launching huge space vehicles had been developed throughout years of experience in NASA's launch operations. The mobile concept differed greatly from the methods used to launch earlier space vehicles. At Cape Kennedy, assembly and checkout of the Saturn I rockets on the launch pad occupied the facility for extensive periods of time. It also exposed the launch vehicle to the damaging effects of the sun, corrosive salt air, wind, and rain. Large service structures which provided platforms for checkout operations were moved to and from the pedestal on rails. When the rocket was ready for flight, the countdown was conducted from a blockhouse near the pad.
Range launch clearance. Clear to launch. Range ready, switch on. Switch on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
For the much larger Apollo Saturn V, a new procedure of servicing and launching the giant rocket was developed. This new mobile concept calls for assembly of the moon rocket in the controlled environment of a building. Then, with the rocket mounted on a mobile launcher, a huge tracked vehicle transfers it to a distant pad ready for launch. A service structure is moved to the pad and placed next to the rocket for final servicing. In the Launch Control Center, instruments monitor all components of the huge vehicle throughout assembly and launch preparations. Prior to launch, the service structure is removed and liftoff occurs, vacating the pad for the next rocket. This plan was the basis for design of Launch Complex 39, a new operational facility for launching large space vehicles at a more rapid rate. Approximately 1,500 engineers worked on design of the required buildings and launch equipment. Their output on drawings and specifications weighed over 100 tons. In 1960, a study group considered 8 locations for the manned lunar landing launch site, including Hawaii, Christmas Island, locations in Texas and Georgia, and the Cape area in Florida. 88,000 acres of land on Merritt Island, just west of the already established Cape, was the logical choice. This vast expanse of land would provide the required safety zone for launching huge space vehicles, including room for expansion if necessary. This site was not only the least expensive to acquire, but most important, the location permitted continued use of the tracking stations of the Air Force Eastern Test Range. NASA assigned the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers the responsibility of design and construction supervision for the spaceport facilities. However, private industry performed most of the design work and all of the construction work under contract to the Corps of Engineers. In mid-1961, the Corps initiated acquisition of land on Merritt Island, paving the way for early phases of construction. A rail spur was laid from the Florida mainland to Merritt Island, and construction materials for the huge spaceport soon traveled over it. Thousands of men, representing numerous construction trades, came from every corner of the nation to build the varied facilities of the Space Center. Huge bulldozers and earth movers rolled across the coastal wilderness, clearing everything in their paths. Road builders began construction on primary roads connecting the new launch area to the Florida mainland on the west and the Cape on the east. Secondary roads were built to areas where facilities were to be constructed. 2 causeways were dredged up, one crossing the Indian River, connecting the spaceport with Highway US 1 on the mainland. The other causeway, across the Banana River, provided access between the Cape and the Space Center. The lifelines of a community carrying electricity and telephone communication soon threaded the landscape. Pump stations were built, and pipelines were laid for water supply. Utility poles were raised, and a network of lines formed a trail from power plants on the mainland. Then, the vital link of telephone communications was installed.
Good afternoon, John F. Kennedy Space Center.
As contractors prepared for construction of the Vehicle Assembly Building at the Space Center, thirsty dredges pumped over 1 million cubic yards of waterborne fill onto the site. A 9-mile access channel up the Banana River to the VAB site was the source of the fill material. This channel is used to transport the first stage of the Saturn V to an unloading ramp at the VAB. To support the Vehicle Assembly Building, a 52-story skyscraper which covers 8 acres, sand-filled tubular steel pilings were driven 160 feet to bedrock. Total length of the pilings, if placed end to end, would stretch 126 miles. The pilings were then capped with concrete, not only to support the building, but also to serve as an anchor, a safeguard against tropical hurricanes. A tight construction schedule, thousands of tons of structural and reinforcing steel fabricated in plants throughout the country, and 500 iron workers required the use of computers to make sure that the right steel members, necessary equipment, and supplies would be on the job at the right time. Computer-coated columns and beams were spread across the sandy terrain like toothpicks, awaiting use as the steel framework began to rise. Some of the columns have rolled section cores heavier than any ever rolled before. As the steel was raised by derricks atop its framework and by cranes reaching 250 feet into the Florida sky, bolting crews, almost indiscernible amidst the steel web, used the biggest impact wrenches available to connect the steel with more than 1 million high-strength bolts. The 57,000 tons of structural steel in the framework, enough to manufacture 30,000 automobiles, was pre-coated with an application of zinc to prevent corrosion by the salt air sweeping in from the Atlantic Ocean. In April 1965, the Vehicle Assembly Building was topped out by placing a 4-ton steel beam at the 525-foot level. The beam was autographed prior to ceremony by government and contractor personnel at the Space Center. Completing the basic construction of the Vehicle Assembly Building, siding crews enclosed the structure with aluminum panels. To facilitate the work, a 3-level cage enclosed on 3 sides was developed. The cage hung from temporary rails attached to a steel girt just above the working area. The metal panels were rolled into position on inner rails and then bolted to the side of the building. In all, over 23 acres of siding were installed. Inside the building, where the Apollo Saturn V is assembled and prepared for flight, work was completed first on the low bay area. In this section of the building, engineers designed cell-like work platforms 34 feet in diameter on each side of a transfer aisle. These platforms enable technicians to service the 2nd and 3rd stages at necessary levels. A bridge-type crane with a lifting capacity of 175 tons was installed in the transfer aisle. The crane lifts the upper stages and transports them through the 670-foot transfer aisle to the high bay area. 2 more bridge-type cranes installed in the high bay area then lift the stages gently and lower them for mating. These cranes, with a capacity of 250 tons, have a hook height of 46 stories above the floor. There are 4 high bays in which Apollo Saturn V rockets can be assembled and checked. For each of these high bays, work platforms were assembled outside the building and moved inside for mounting. These platforms, as big as whole buildings 3 stories high, were installed on the sides of the bays. The platforms can be adjusted up and down and move in and out like suspended file drawers. They meet with each other to form even larger structures which encircle the space vehicles for checkout. 21 high-speed elevators were installed at strategic locations throughout the VAB to transport personnel and equipment to various floor levels of the building. Some of these elevators are capable of traveling up to 11 feet per second. Because of the height of the Apollo Saturn V, the vehicle assembly building has 4 of the largest doors in the world. Each door is built in the shape of an inverted T, reaching 450 feet high. These door openings are large enough for such structures as the United Nations building and Chicago's Wrigley Tower to pass through. At the time of its construction, this building, in terms of cubic volume, was the largest in the world. The nerve center for space activities at Launch Complex 39 is the Launch Control Center. This 4-story reinforced concrete structure was built adjacent to the VAB for the purpose of controlling pre-launch and launch operations of the Apollo Saturn V. The most important areas of this facility are 4 firing rooms, which correspond to the 4 high bays in the VAB. Each of these rooms is 2 stories high, and each is designed to house 470 monitors and consoles for assembly, checkout, and launch activities. To give launch crews a picture window view of the launch pads, 3 quarter-inch thick laminated glass windows were installed on the east side. These windows, made of tinted glass, allow only 28% of the light to penetrate, thus filtering out unwanted rays which cause glare and heat. The windows are protected by vertical power-operated louvers, which can be opened or closed as desired. The Launch Control Center received the 1965 Architectural Award for the Industrial Design of the Year. When the Apollo Saturn V is ready for flight, the vehicle is mounted on a mobile launch platform. NASA engineers supervised design and construction of 3 of these mobile launchers at a site near the VAB. The base of the launcher, 2 stories tall and half the size of a football field, is built of steel plate girders. Inside, areas were provided for various equipment required for vehicle checkout and launch. Steel plating up to 1 inch thick was used for the launch deck, from which the rocket will lift off. A large opening was placed in the deck to allow the rocket's flames to pass through and away from the launcher. A steel tower was built at one end of the launcher platform to carry fuel, electricity, pneumatic, and communications cables to various stages of the vehicle. The 45-story launch tower and its Apollo Saturn V cargo are moved from the VAB to the launch pads by a transporter designed by Space Center engineers. 2 of these large land vehicles were built at a special parking area near the mobile launchers. At each corner of the vehicle were assembled double tracks 10 feet high and 40 feet long. On these tracks, the transporter creeps along at 1 mile per hour. diesel-electric system, mounted under the decking, develops 5,600 horsepower. 2 diesel engines supply energy to electric motors at each corner, which in turn deliver motive power to the huge tracks. These 5.5 million pound transporters, equal in size to a baseball diamond, are capable of slipping under a mobile launcher, lifting the platform with hydraulic jacks, and moving the launcher to and from the VAB. On the day of the moon journey, astronauts will ride an elevator to the upper level of the launch tower and enter their spacecraft through one of these steel arms, which reach out for contact with the rocket. Each arm is designed to swing away from the rocket at liftoff. Completely outfitted, the mobile launcher stands 445 feet tall and weighs 10.5 million pounds. To support the transporter and its cargo, engineers designed a special road called the Crawlerway. It is equal in width to an 8-lane parkway. Like a causeway, it was built by dredging and placing hundreds of thousands of cubic yards of hydraulic sand fill across the swamplands and open water sections of the Banana River. And finally, smooth river rock was chosen as a surface covering, which offered less steering resistance for the transporter and a more firm and even distribution of the load. At a site midway between the VAB and the launch pads, a mobile service structure was erected. Built of steel, the service tower was put together in pre-assembled sections. These sections were welded at the plants, bolted while on the ground, and hoisted to position by high-reaching cranes. To minimize weight, all flooring of the tower consisted of aluminum honeycomb panels. This material not only reduced weight, but its structural rigidity assured stability of the floors. The forward side of the mobile service structure was equipped with 5 clamshell platforms, which completely surround the rocket while at the launch pad, providing access to several levels of the vehicle and spacecraft for final servicing. This tower also is moved to and from the launch pads by the transporter, even in winds up to 45 miles per hour. In 1963, the site chosen for Complex 39's launch pads was for the most part underwater. It was a parcel of swampland near the Atlantic Ocean just north of Cape Kennedy. The desolate scene rapidly changed, however, when huge dredges deposited almost 5 million cubic yards of waterborne fill material onto the launch sites. Soon, an 80-foot mountain of surcharge was shaped in the form of a truncated pyramid to consolidate the subgrade beneath. The surcharge was then removed to its permanent level, and the launch pads took shape. Lattice works of reinforcement steel soon rose above the silvery sand. Workmen climbed about the net-like array, tying and welding the steel bars to fortify the launching stand. With reinforcement in place, a convoy of trucks delivered 68,000 cubic yards of concrete, enough to build 1,700 average homes. A flame trench, surfaced with heat-resisting bricks, was built through the pad center. By way of this trench, the 2,000-degree flames from the rocket are directed away from the hard stand. For the myriad of electrical connections and test equipment required for checkout and launch operations, workmen installed 8,400 miles of wiring. This is comparable to the amount needed to wire the homes for a city of 135,000 people. Under the sloping shoulders, designers provided engineering areas for control systems, electrical rooms, and high-pressure gas storage facilities. Surrounding the hardstand, 900,000-gallon tanks were built to service the rocket with liquid hydrogen and RP-1 fuels, liquid oxygen, and liquid nitrogen. These massive forms of concrete, towers of steel, and giant buildings received the American Society of Civil Engineers Award for Outstanding Engineering Achievement for 1966. 5 miles south of Complex 39, an industrial complex comprising more than 50 structures, housing administrative, engineering, and laboratory facilities, was built to support the manned lunar landing program. In fact, there are enough facilities in this area to support a small city. This administrative and engineering community is a concentration of management and support offices, spacecraft checkout facilities where manned vehicles pass rigid tests prior to flight, an instrumentation complex that gathers and stores vital data from launch activities, and maintenance and repair shops. Appreciating the value of natural resources, NASA developed a land management program at the nation's spaceport. Hundreds of acres of grove land purchased from owners were leased back to them so that production could continue. Citrus trees still blossom, and oranges and grapefruit are harvested. A game refuge was established, and during the season, hunters are allowed into the marshlands. Ocean beaches to the north of Kennedy Space Center are open to the public the year around, except at launch times. And on tour days, thousands visit the spaceport to view these specialized facilities. Few people in this nation, and indeed the world, have not wondered at the prospect of those 3 Americans who will one day journey from this Earth on what will be our first trip to the moon. As the eventful day of the moon journey approaches, other rockets such as the Saturn 1B are testing the lunar spacecraft, and astronauts train for the distant voyage by flying long-duration orbits of the Earth. Man has taken a giant step toward the stars with the construction of the spaceport. His new equipment, tools, and buildings, standing as monuments of the space age, have brought him ever closer to the realm of the universe. He stands today on the threshold of a rendezvous with destiny.
The hell's wrong with the voice? Does it come in now? Hello? That was weird. Huh. I said they threw that whole complex together in a year and a half. That's, annoying. Five by five, better. Excelente. All right, so let me see what we have here. I did do a lot of space news because we started with a Falcon 9 launch this morning. There was Starlink Group 436, launched perfect out of Slick 40, 10th flight for the booster, perfect drone ship landing, perfect deploy, perfect everything. It was basically a textbook mission. Now I suppose that's where we can start because that is actually a pretty red letter. It's a pretty red letter day for SpaceX, even though the launch was pretty routine. Check this out. Okay, world, what's up? Hold on, before we start that. How much renovation, outside of obvious things like updating computer systems, has happened at the spaceport? Like, has there been any structural upgrades to the VAB and other facilities since it was originally built back in the 60s? Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, of course. There's not much in terms of electrical upgrades. They fix the elevators every once in a while, but the structure is exactly the same. Thing was built to last, man. The VAB, this is kind of what we were talking about when we, kind of did space news a little bit earlier. The VAB is literally, it was built to support a space program for like the next 100 years. Because the reason, and this is kind of the reason why it hasn't changed so much. The big reason is physics. You're not going to need a bigger rocket. Even something like a brand new cutting edge rocket like Starship. Starship could theoretically work with the VAB. We talked about that earlier. Like you could roll out with a Starship. Sure, why not? The VAB actually isn't tall enough exactly for a Starship stack. The Starship stack could fit inside of it, but the catch tower could not. But the thing about the VAB is that, well, here, let me show you. So the electrical stuff has been upgraded, but I mean, it's built. It's mid-60s US. It doesn't break. All right. So like, they've upgraded the systems over time, but the VAB itself really hasn't changed that much. I mean, yeah, there's electrical stuff here and there that's changed, but it's pretty much the same. The elevators are pretty much the same. The doors are the same. The outside paneling gets messed up every once in a while when a hurricane comes in, but it's pretty much the exact same. Okay, floating. So the thing about the VAB just goes to show they don't make things like they used to. I mean, this thing was built to freaking last. So you want to hear a couple of cool things, couple of trivia facts about the VAB. So the first thing is, if you notice, there's a lot of posts. See all the posts sticking out? See the posts sticking out at the top of the VAB? They're distinctly in the spots where it's structural. See right there? There's posts there. There's posts there. There's posts there. You could just see the shadow of them. They're these things right here. The VAB, and this is what I mean about smart. This is Von Braun, believe it or not. If you could attribute it to one person, this is what you'd want to attribute to Von Braun. The VAB was supposed to be here for years, just like it is, but it was supposed to be launching rockets for years. That's what this whole complex is designed for. It's designed for extreme future proofing and extremely high throughput. Now, I said you're not going to build a bigger rocket, right? But here's the thing. This complex was not built for the Saturn V. You heard that right. It ain't built for the Saturn V, guys. Okay? Complex 39 was built in anticipation of the Nova rocket. True story. Not a lot of people know what the Nova rocket is. Well, the Nova rocket never existed. It never got off paper because budget cuts. So, in the early parts of the Apollo program, they had ideas for not only going back to the moon. The scope of the Apollo project was not only going back to the moon, but it was going further than that. The moon was just the first step, right? They wanted to do manned flybys of Venus. They wanted to do manned flybys of Mars. They wanted to make transfer vehicles in space. Wet workshops, dry workshops, a bunch of things. So at the beginning of the program, they had three principal rockets. Saturn Obviously, that one worked. That one was exactly as they intended. Saturn V, also what they intended. But Nova rocket, right there, was the third. This was only the beginning. That was the intermediate rocket. They built the Nova rocket, or they were going to build the Nova rocket, in anticipation of larger payloads that were needed for true interplanetary travel. The Nova rocket could have moved, I don't even know what it would have moved. It would have moved something insane into space. But if you look, Saturn V's diameter is 33 feet, so that's 10 meters. 10 meters dead on. This thing is 15-meter diameter, 50 feet. 15-meter diameter, which is unbelievable. Now, how can you prove that that was built for Nova? Well, one, the VAB was built to this height. You could roll out a rocket that was over 350 feet tall out of there. So that's a little over 105 meters tall. Saturn V is about 330 feet, so about 100 meters. This thing is a little bit bigger. They built it for Nova. But here's a dead giveaway. Look at the flame trenches. If you go look at 39A or B, it doesn't really matter, and you measure from one end to the other, let's just use this because it doesn't screw it up too much. You go here, go to feet. 60 feet. 60 feet wide. It's a 60-foot wide flame trench. It's huge. It's like the size of an 8-lane highway. I've walked in 39B's flame trench. It's big. 60 feet? Why you make a 60-foot flame trench for a 30-foot rocket? That doesn't make any sense. See what I'm talking about? This whole complex was built in anticipation of bigger rockets down the road. So, those posts for the VAB, those posts are designed to be able to expand the VAB upward for a bigger launch vehicle if you needed to. These were built to Nova, but they built in the provisions, the posts coming out of the roof. See them right there? They built in the provisions to make the VAB higher if you needed to. Gases expand. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, they built it so you could make the thing taller. That's what those posts are coming out of the top of the VAB. I have that's you could ask anybody that works there. They'll tell you the same thing. Now, here's the other thing. If you look at the crawlerway and you look at 39, the crawlerway goes all the way around here, all the way around here, and all the way back. The VAB was also designed to have the capability to be able to be extended this way. It could go this way. You can add another set of high bays here. And then just make more crawler tracks there, and there. You could have four high bays facing forward and 4 high bays facing aft. You could literally double the size of it if you needed to. So, they built it with the provisions to be able to build it higher if they needed a bigger rocket with less frequency of flights. But also, they gave it the ability to be able to expand that way if you wanted to use the same rocket and higher frequency of flights. That makes sense? This whole thing was designed to be modular. It can be expanded. It can be made bigger. They even put in the provisions for a third pad, which was designed, but budget cuts. They put in the provisions for the third pad if you look at the 39B crawlerway. There is a pad right there. Or there's a right of way right here for the crawlerway where it would have split. It would have done another fork like this, and 39C would be right here where it says Max Heck Back Creek right here. There would have been another pad. Actually, the interesting thing is that Complex 39 originally called for 5 launch pads. Yeah, there was going to be 5. So there was going to be one here, there was going to be one here, and there's going to be one here. So there would have been another one right there. There would have been another one right there, and there would have been another one right there. The naming convention would have been something. Actually, here, if we do line, I can show you. So pad there, pad there. It basically would have been 1, 2, right? It would have basically looked like a big upside down peace sign, like that. That's what it would have looked like. There would have been a mirror of this right here, and there would have been another pad right there. That's what they wanted to do. The naming convention, 39A was supposed to be here, B is there, C is there, D is there, and E is there. 39A was supposed to be pad E. But budget cuts, they scaled it back to 3 pads, and then when it came time for construction of another pad, they said, screw that, no, we only need 2. Interesting thing enough is that if you go back here and you look at some of the original signs and whatnot, you look at the original signs that, yeah, there you go. See? It was supposed to be a 3-pad complex. They built in the provisions for pad C, but they never did it. Yep. That's what they wanted to do. So Worlds, how can it be upgraded? Yes. Has it been upgraded? Yes. Has it been upgraded as much as it could have been? Hell no. No way. No, not even close. We never, ever even got close to reaching the planned throughput of the Apollo program. Because if Von Braun was going to go make, you know, if he was going to take a shot for the Apollo program and build it right and build it to freaking last. Build it in anticipation of what they tried to do is basically make it big enough to where they wouldn't de-scope the program after we went to the moon. The Apollo Applications program is a good example of that. Skylab, which is part of AAP, they basically wanted to build it bigger. They wanted to just keep going with it. And you would have, the crazy part about that is, you know, the Saturn V is the most expensive launch vehicle to ever fly. But the reason why it's the most expensive launch vehicle to ever fly is because it took billions of dollars to make in 1960s money, and it only launched 15, 20 times. Let's see, how many times did it launch? Apollo 4, Apollo 6, Apollo 8, Apollo 9, Apollo 10, 11, 12, right? 13, 14, 15, so that's 10, 16, 17, Skylab, 13 times. Am I missing any? Yeah. Of course, if you spend $10 billion to make a rocket and you only launch it 13 times, take that 10 billion and divide it by 13 and there's your cost, because that's how NASA calculates their costs. It's total cost involved. Whoops. If they had kept flying the Saturn V, it would have ended up being cheaper than the space shuttle. True story. Because the Saturn V was dialed in, it was basically good to go. You just got to keep making them. Making them is not nearly as hard as building the entire damn factory or building the entire launch pad for that matter. That's why canceling spaceflight programs is never a good idea. It never, ever, ever ends well. It hasn't ended well once. Every time we say we can cancel it and do it for cheaper, it's ended up with a net less trending capability. Oh, going to the moon is too expensive. Let's make spaceflight reusable. Let's work on reusable spaceflight. It's good. It'll be less expensive. Oh, the shuttle is too expensive. Let's stop using the shuttle. It's old. It's expensive. Let's replace it with shuttle-derived hardware. It'll be cheaper. Oh, the shuttle-derived hardware is too expensive. It's too expensive. Let's give it over to commercial. Commercial will be cheaper. Now, to be 100% fair, there is a caveat here. Commercial is arguably cheaper. Arguably. SpaceX has that same exact problem. Elon is pouring billions of dollars, literally billions, into Starship right now. Literally billions. With a budget pretty much on par with the Apollo program at the end of the day. And that will basically restore the capability that we had when we spent billions of dollars the first time. See what I'm talking about? Would be interesting to see if they had the money and gotten the green light. How fast and properly, like the rest of the infrastructure. I can't envision a lot of that stuff being built in a year and a half today. Yeah, so I mean, 39A is jonesing. It's ready to go. The whole, well, not 39A, all the VAB. It's been jonesing to go. It's ready. It was built in anticipation of something that literally never happened. The closest we ever got to it was 1985 when the shuttle launched 9 times in 1 year. Crazy, right? But yeah, has it been upgraded? Yes. Could it be upgraded more? Oh, absolutely. It was built for that. It was built to be upgraded. They built this anticipating us going to Mars in the 80s, and then going to the outer gas giants in the 90s, and going to Pluto in the 2000s with Apollo-derived hardware. Okay. Can we go live in that timeline, please? Yep. 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 Well, don't worry. We're on the cusp of getting back to that. So, I wouldn't be too incredibly upset, fellas. We're almost there. We're almost there. So, yes, it can be upgraded. Now, speaking of frequency of flight, check this out. The Falcon 9 that launched today. Look, this is coming from Elon himself. Congrats to SpaceX. Congrats to the SpaceX team on the 48th launch this year. Falcon 9 now holds the record for most launches of a singular vehicle type in a year. Crazy, right? They beat that beat the record of Soyuz. Soyuz had a record for launching 47 or 49 times in 1979. Thomas actually helped me, not helped me. He's the one that taught me this because I retweeted him. The previous record was held by Soyuz U, which launched 47 times in 1979, 45 of which succeeded. Falcon 9 has launched 48 times so far this year, all of them successful. It's October 20th. What did Soyuz send so much up in 1979? Molina satellites, their communications network. Does Falcon Heavy count as 1 or 3? There have been no Falcon Heavy launches this year, so I don't know. I would count it as 1. How many launches are planned before the end of the year? I think there's, I mean, Contra, you said 19 more. Yeah, I was going to say 20, but I wasn't sure. Hasn't even been years since the last Falcon Heavy launch. The last one was Arabsat 6A. People give SpaceX and Elon trash, but it's simply impressive. You can't ignore the statistics, Pop. But it's 2020. People can think whatever they want. It is what it is. Think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and make up stuff about people that they don't like? Too real? Too real. Okay. It's not 2020. It's 2022. No, it's March 472nd, 2020. What are you, dumb? You guys are crazy. Actually, it would be like March 700 or 800 and something or something. I'll just switch that to saying it's the 2020s and call it a day. Anyway, it's pretty damn impressive, guys. And SpaceX is pretty much proving what they envisioned with the Apollo program. High frequency of flight, cost goes down over time. Pretty bad meme when it's still 2020, loses track of time that badly too. Yeah. Do you remember when people complained about 2020? No. Yes, maybe. I've kind of blanked the last 2 years out of memory. Except for space stuff. Yeah, except for space stuff. Yeah. Does Falcon Heavy launch mean double booster landing? Yes. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Spaced off house, other little things. Yeah. Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's important. But, yeah. Pretty nuts, right? Yeah, they have gone by pretty fast. If I were to become an overnight billionaire, I would buy the plans and rights to all Apollo designs and start retooling for them. You sound really sick. Thanks for being here. I'm still getting over it, man. Yeah, I'm trying my best. It's actually March 964th, 2020. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yep. So, yeah. I mean, Jared, we've had conversations. We've had conversations. Screw Apollo, give me Venture Star. All right. I'm going to buck this trend. Venture Star, yes, Aqualex, I very much agree with you. But if I hit the Powerball, provided the Powerball was like $10 billion, it's not even close. It's like a $500 million right now. I should go play it. We should play it. You should play it. That'd be nice. If I start just buying up tanks and stuff, like all that stuff that I say I want to buy on GovPlanet, if I actually start doing that, that's a pretty good indicator to know what happened. NASA ordered 3 more Orions. All right, I'll check that in a second. Would I still stream if I win the Powerball? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd absolutely stream. I'd be able to provide content, Zero, that no one else could do. The hell with playing Flight Simulator, dude. Let's go fly a Gulfstream around in real life. Stream that. You wouldn't be able to stream much of the flight deck, but you get the idea. Show us what you want to buy. Oh, I want a tank, but it's not the tank that you'd think. I want a tank. Yeah, but like I said, it's not the tank that you think. I don't want an Abrams. I don't want a Chieftain. No Challenger, no Leopard. I don't want anything like that. I want this. No, not an M60. I don't want that. I want this. No, not a Centurion. Cool tank, but yeah, I don't want that. I want this. It's not a tank. It's an armored recovery vehicle. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Hey, Mr. Facetious, I see you're back. Hey, have you seen Hellfish around? Yeah, I want that. Because, you know, tanks with turrets on them are cool, but tanks with cranes on them are cooler. Something to pull Fords around with. Oh, no. It's something to recycle Chevys with, Gully. You're getting confused. I killed him. I took his place. Oh, good. We're stuck with you. Lovely. Frick you. Hey. You drew first blood, not me. How much are those? $2 million? Yeah. As a 2000, the M88A2 replacement cost was about $2 million. But look at it. Look at it. It's a tank with a crane on it. You don't want this? It has a crane. Like, it's got a crane. Look at how much fun that guy is having. He just got a face. That guy just got a face full of mud. But look at how much fun he's having. Look, see, that's nice. I don't need the gun. You can take the 50 off. I don't want that. I mean, I do, but tank. You could buy a ripsaw for $500K. A ripsaw? Why do I want one of those? Because they go fast. Ripsaws don't have a crane on them. It's built by Howe and Howtech of Waterford, Maine. But it doesn't have a crane. It's a crane, man. I don't wait, how fast does this thing go? Hold on. It's got a Continental L3 CPS. It's a V12 air-cooled twin-turbo diesel. Ooh, a twin-disc clutch. Torsion bar suspension. Maximum speed. 26 miles an hour. The A2 can go 30. That's good enough. That's fast enough. See, I want one of these. See? See, look at those dudes over there. They straight miring. They straight miring that. They're like, damn, dude, that's cool. Admit it, you do want the jet engine oil fire extinguisher. I mean, that would be cool. But crane. Yeah, but the crane thing can be manufactured by Textron Systems? Yeah, I didn't think so. So let me get this straight. You guys asked me what kind of tank I would want, or what kind of thing I would get if I hit the Powerball. What would I want? I told you I wanted an M88. So first of all, some bonehead, you, Hellfish, said, oh, that's not a tank. Second of all, I've had 6 or 7 people now tell me that that's not what I want. Here's the thing. Because you asked my opinion, you're wrong. You're wrong. I want a tank with a crane on it. You can have your Ripsaw or whatever. Have fun with that. Have fun with that. I'll go build something with mine. You can just run yours around and do whatever Ripsaws do. That's fair. I wouldn't. No, I don't want a tank battalion, Darius. I'm not some crazy person. I don't want a tank battalion. I just want a tank with a crane on it. Feeling better? Yeah. You can pick up a lot of chicks with a tank. That's right. Especially with one that builds things. Building things is cool. Okay? Building things is cool. It takes skill. It takes skill to build things. Right? It's easy. It's easy. Destroying stuff is little boy things. All right? That's little boy stuff. All right? We don't do that. We build stuff here. Okay? What chicks you gonna pick up, man? You sound better, that's for sure. Putting on a brave face again, but yeah. What about a combat tractor? Combat tractor? That's kind of cool, but it doesn't have a crane on it. You'd probably just pick up as many chicks with a forklift. What about getting a killdozer? I don't want a killdozer. I want a tank with a crane on it. I don't want a large Farva. I want a gosh dang liter of cola. Realistically, you buy an F-350? Well, yeah, of course. I just want a JPEG of a gosh dang hot dog. You should look at the British Army logistic tanks. Some real awesome stuff there, like a tank that can float, build bridges, and has a crane. Ah, I see. You're still doing that whole you don't know what you like, I know what you like thing. Yeah, okay. So, let's see. Chieftain recovery vehicle. 38,000 pounds? Really? This is brilliant. This is brilliant. But I like this. Okay? I like that. That's cool. I'll admit it. That's cool. But I like this.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
What's that doing there? Hey, an M113. Nice, nice, nice. I wonder why that's there. So when do we do an LS swap? Golly. LS swap. No, that's not enough horsepower. Serious, will you install an A-track in your M88? Yes. Be honest, you need that M88 to save your back while clearing the driveway in the winter. Yeah. You want one of those. That's the same thing. It's the same chassis as the M88. The M60A1 bridge layer. That's cool. But this can just lay a bridge, Alleviate. You're not thinking fourth dimensionally, Marty. This can lay down a bridge. That can build one. Venture Star, not the X-33, is the shuttle, but with the flaws resolved. Fewer components, nothing expanded. Aqualux, going back to that, I was going to buck the trend by saying I want, what I would really want is to bring the shuttle back and make it work, just to vindicate the shuttle. Just say, frick you, this was a good design. You guys are you guys are stupid. This is a good design. It should have been made and it should have been done this way. You're an idiot for not doing it this way. Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. Buy 4 of these, weld them together, and put a rocket on it. Oh, okay. I mean, that's a train with a crane on it. That's pretty cool. But, yeah. Realistically, why would you go for a tank with a crane on it? We could just get one of those heavy lift helicopters that are cranes. Because you need a license to fly the helicopter around someone. You do not need a license to own a tank.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
What would you change about the shuttle? Honestly, autopilot, that's about it. You want that crane? Yeah, that's pretty cool, Bandit, I think. Wait, actually, that's mildly concerning. Why is it mildly concerning? The tank is designed to be driven around by a bunch of kids your age. Yeah, it's easy to drive. You don't need a license for it. And, you know, like I said, if I'm going to have a tank, I don't need the gun. What the heck am I going to do with that? I don't need the gun. I want the crane. But the crane's cooler. The thing doesn't need to be ITAR'd. You know what I mean? Like, NASA dropped some orange goodness. Oh, okay. You can just drive around a tank? Sure. Just got to register it. Guys, it's the United States. You can... Okay, so what you could do that in the UK, too. You could do that in the UK. Actually, if you really want to know, and I learned this from a stupid Whistling Diesel video. Whistling Diesel's not stupid. I love that channel. It's a great channel. The gun safing laws in the UK are actually more lax than they are in the US. In the UK, all you got to do if you want to buy a tank is just weld the breech shut so the gun is permanently in battery. Just weld the breech. In the US, you have to remove the breech, which is a lot more work. I don't know, Hellfish. Yeah, I learned it from when he went and bought a freaking Chieftain. You will need someone to run the crane. Don't tank treads destroy roads? Weight destroys roads, human. A road that's not designed for a tank, yes, the treads will destroy the road. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Tessa, that's cool, but it's not a crane with a tank on it. Or a tank with a crane on it. Spoon, there's a viewer that lives in Michigan, that lives in Ann Arbor with a tank. Yeah. I haven't seen him in a little while, but yeah, he's around sometimes. Yeah, show me pictures. Pretty cool. I also found this guy on YouTube. He's a lot like Vice Grip, but for heavy equipment. Diesel Creek. Yeah, I know this channel. Uh-huh. Very good. You guys are still doing that thing where you're telling me, no, that's not what you like. You want this. No. I've put a lot of thought into this, okay? It's like the time, you know, like to borrow a segment from a Tom Segura special, you know, sometimes I find myself on the internet shopping around for the private jet that most suits my needs. It's true. You don't do that? I do that. Sometimes I go around, I look at a private jet, you know, oh, it's $300,000 for that. That's actually not too bad. It's pretty damn affordable. Can I afford it? Oh, no, not at all. That's actually not too bad. It's pretty obtainable. You can buy a shuttle ET and turn it into a house. I know one that's for sale. Goalie, we tried contacting those people. I'm serious. Me and a viewer in chat tried contacting them, and we tried to follow the list. Never got back to us. I'm serious. Had they gotten back to us, I would have held a fundraiser to buy the external tank. I'm not kidding. But they never got back to us. Yeah, the guy that owns the tank never replied. You guys think I didn't take that seriously? Oh, I took it seriously. We tried. Anyway. So check this out. I have an observation. With all the proposed spacecraft that have been proposed with center of mass, it's funny how a number of these tail-heavy spacecraft problems are solved when you add a crew tank section on the front, like your shuttle Starship idea. Yeah. Internalized header tanks, Aqualux. Yeah. The crew version, I'm pretty damn sure, dude, the crew versions of Starship won't have header tanks because all the dry mass from putting all the crew quarters up in the nose of the thing is going to counterbalance it just fine. Remember, you could make the entire inner pressure vessel out of steel. Starship has the payload capacity to do that. And if you're going to refuel, why not waste dry mass on structure? Check this out. Okay. Was it on Gov Auction? Well, what was what on Gov Auction? The tank? No. No, the external tank? No. Tess, is it bad that if I actually win the Powerball, I'm literally just going to start buying up all the OBS Fords I can find? And probably OBS Chevys and Dodges? I will just literally have a fleet of trucks from the 90s. And you know what? I'd throw Hiluxes in there too, because Hilux. I'll just buy a big garage. Buy a big shop, like seriously, and I'm talking Amazon distribution warehouse, okay? And fill it with cars. And then put it in a trust, right? So, you know, I don't have to worry about it. And then even if I did all that, you hit Powerball, you still have like 400 million left over. Actually, the cash sum is 270 million last time I checked. So I could do everything that I just said and have 250 million left over. Banco. What about a NASA crawler? That would be cool, but I don't think that would work. So just to confirm, this is what you'd like. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's someone. That's perfect. I know, Box. I put a bid in on it. Didn't get it. You go, Jay Leno. You need to work on your chin, though. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I gotta worry. You know, it's just a really nice car. It's just, you know, something that you could just take it to town, and you could just drive it around. It's just a good automobile. You know, this vehicle was engineered by Richard Teague. You know, Richard Teague was he's a pretty good guy. You know, you don't like giving him no, not good enough. About half, Paul. A little under half around here. Ooh, crane. Yeah, that's not big enough. Laserman, your brother is a reservist. His day job is programming drones for the military. He cannot fly the drones he programs while he's on duty because he doesn't have 14-day course from the Air Force. Wow. All right. I'd go for all Apollo and shuttle hardware. Yep. Anyway. So, let's get back into a little bit of space news here. So, this isn't technically space news, but something that's kind of cool. Tesla had their Q3 earnings call the other day, and they said that semi-truck deliveries are scheduled for December of 2022. That's pretty cool. Hey, that's like this year. No, it's a nice looking truck. The front looks a little bit weird, but so May of 2023? No. Casper, I get it, Elon time and stuff, but yeah, also this was in an earnings call, so no. No. Because something fiduciary responsibility, something. So no, that's actually probably pretty accurate. Oh yeah, no, I think it's cool, Aqualux. I think it's great. The truck looks very European. Yeah. Baptist bought a bunch of them. I know that. I wonder what they did to get reasonable range out of the semi. Hellfish, if I had to guess, it's probably the regenerative braking. The regenerative braking is probably what makes the thing so good. Think about the trucks around here, dude. Stopping a truck, what does that do? It takes the kinetic energy and converts it to heat energy. Stopping the semi takes that kinetic energy and converts it back into electrical energy. I'll bet you that truck has one heck of a regenerator system on it. And considering the amount of momentum that you need, or the amount of force that you need to stop the momentum of a fully loaded semi-truck, I'm pretty sure that's what they did to put it on par with the diesel engine. And even then, I don't think it's exactly on par, but it's close, and that's what matters. If you had the opportunity, no questions asked, it would happen. It would happen. What car would you get and what motor would you put in it? Ferrari F40. F40. Oh, yeah. Getting late here. You might have already covered this. I haven't gotten to it yet, but yeah. We can share that basically next. A Ford Falcon with a 283. Falcons came with 289s in the Falcon Futura variant from 1964 to 1968. Or 69, I think. Or no, 70. Technically 71 if you want to be very technical. Soyuz 21 has been pushed again. 283 is a Chevy motor. And the 283 came out in... '58. Gotta disagree with you slightly. A Testarossa V12. Yeah, you can go ahead and mic drop. That's fine. And I'll take my Ferrari F40 and go faster than you. All right. 58, 59 for the 283. That's when Chevy introduced their small block. Yeah. And that design went all the way into the 90s. That's how good it was. Ford introduced their Windsor motor, their small block, in the form of a 289 in 1962, if I'm remembering correctly. It may have been 63. The 289 debuted in the 63 Falcon Futura, which eventually became the Mustang. The Falcon Futura was kind of the prototype for a Mustang GT. And everybody knows that, the 283 was eventually punched out to 350, right? It went 283, 327 in 1964, and then 350 in 1970. And then some hot rodders came along and figured out that a 400 crank would fit in a 350 and made the 383 stroker, which Chevy ended up selling as a crate motor. Yeah. I know my stuff. I'm close. It's pretty good for a Ford guy. Not bad, right? Pretty good. Oh, yeah. They also, it was was it DZ302? DZ302. I'm not familiar. F40 with a V12 from an F50 would be almost unbeatable. That's too much weight. Say you had a medium satellite to low Earth orbit, what provider would you go with and why? SpaceX, because cost and reliability. That was a D-stroked road race small block Chevy. Thank you, Bill. The F40 is the most overrated Ferrari. Change your mind. It was the first production car to hit 200 miles an hour. Serious? Consider your mind changed. It was a big bore short stroke 5-liter for the first gen Z28s. A Grand Am engine, basically. Cool. The F50 was nice. The F50 is not a good handling vehicle, guys. Ferrari thought it would be a good idea to literally just take an F1 motor and put it in a production vehicle. And it was disastrous. There's a reason why F40s are remembered more than F50s. The F40 was the last car that was designed by Enzo Ferrari from the ground up. It is a driver's car. It's pretty much one of the best handling cars of all time. Like, Falcon, you say? Let me see. Ah, it's a nice car, man. Dude, I checked the price of first gen and second gen Falcons last night, dude, when I had some spare time. Geek, you know that, like, a decent condition inline 6 C4 automatic Falcon from the 60s is, like, in decent condition, like, not rusted out completely. 5-6 grand. I'm like, what? What? Oh, nice, Thomas. I'm like, that has a 200 inline 6 and it's going for 5 grand. When I was in high school, those cars were $500 a pop. No one wanted them. Are you going to play more F1? Yes. Yeah, we'll probably play F1 on Saturday because... Jeez, Alleviate. 429 Super Cobra Jet is your favorite engine, but my second would be a 440 Magnum. Very nice. Very nice. You guys are making me want to go work in the damn shop. Anyway, all right. So, check this out, fellas. Lockheed Martin. Actually, hang on. NASA released new pictures on their image archive of SLS, and I thought you guys would want to see it. 200 cubic inch 3.2 inline 6. That should rev pretty good. Tessa, Ford's inline 6 motors were very well made. They don't make a lot of power, but they are unkillable. Unkillable. When I say unkillable, I mean unkillable. I mean, the only real problem with them is that it's an in-valve. It's cam and block, so no overhead valve. And it's not a cross flow head, it's a reverse flow head, which is kind of like, eh. But you can wake those things up if you really know what to do. You know, they had low compression out of the box because they detuned them for reliability, right? So you could turbo them, give them a little turbo. It works. Make 200-300 horse. And 200-300 horse in a 60s Ford Falcon that's like Lotus Cortina power to weight, dude. That'd be a great, dude. That would be an awesome build. Lockheed is still up and around. I thought they went belly up. Lockheed Martin is literally one of the biggest defense contractors in the U.S. You've seen the date for the new stealth bomber, the Northrop Grumman B-21. Yep, I know guys that work on that. Alleviate. Who, what, and where? No. Do they watch the stream? No. Yeah. Just know people. You meet people in your travels that, yeah. Here, check this out. Hello. That is a skedet looking rocket. Look at that thing. Ooh. So, check this out. This is coming right from Lockheed Martin. They released this literally less than an hour ago. Lockheed Martin is now under contract to deliver 3 more Orion spacecraft for the Artemis 6, 7, and 8 missions, continuing the delivery of exploration vehicles to the agency to carry astronauts into deep space and around the moon, supporting the Artemis program. November 14th is what they're targeting for SLS. Lockheed Martin is the prime contractor to NASA for the Orion program and has completed 2 Orion vehicles, EFT-1, which flew in 2014, and Artemis-1, which is weeks away from its launch to the moon. Very funny worded. And is actively building vehicles for the Artemis 2 through 5 missions. Lockheed Martin is honored to partner with NASA to deliver Orion spacecraft for NASA's Artemis missions. This order includes spacecraft mission planning and support and takes us into the 2030s, said Lisa Callahan, Vice President and General Manager for Commercial Civil Space, Lockheed Martin, a Lockheed Martin company. We're on the eve of a historic launch kicking off the Artemis era, and this contract shows NASA's making long-term plans towards living and working on the moon, while also having a forward focus on getting humans to Mars. This order marks the second 3 missions under the agency's Orion Production and Operations Contract, OPOC. OPOC! What? An indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, or IDIC, contract for up to 12 vehicles. A breakout of these orders include 2019, NASA initiates OPOC IDIC. It's called an IDIQ, but I like calling it IDIC because I think that's funny. And orders 3 Orion spacecraft for Artemis 3, 4, and 5. 2022, NASA orders 3 additional spacecraft for Artemis 6, 7, and 8 for $1.99 billion. NASA can order, in the future, NASA can order up to 6 additional missions. Under OPOC, Lockheed Martin and NASA have reduced the cost of Orion by 50% per vehicle on Artemis 3 through Artemis 5 compared to the vehicles built during the design and development phase. The vehicles built for Artemis 6, 7, and 8 will see an additional 30% cost reduction. We're achieving substantial cost savings from Artemis 3 through Artemis 8 by extensive structure and system reuse and incorporating advanced digital design and manufacturing processes. The Artemis 2 vehicle will reuse select avionics from the Artemis 1 crew module, and that reuse will continue to dramatically increase where the Artemis 3 pressure vessel capsule will be entirely furbished for the Artemis 4 mission, or the Artemis 6 mission. Additionally, the company will drive out the costs from these production vehicles through material and component bulk buys from suppliers on an accelerated mission cadence. Dark shade? Wonder what they mean by that. With the Artemis 1 Orion spacecraft currently on top of the SLS rocket, there are 2 other Orion vehicles undergoing assembly at KSC in Florida, Artemis 2 and 3. Work is well underway on the Artemis 4 craft, including welding the pressure vessels together at NASA's Michoud Assembly Facility near New Orleans and the heat shield at Lockheed Martin facilities near Denver, and work has already begun on the Artemis 5 vehicle. Interesting. They are holding High Bay 1 in reserve. Yeah, Tesla, interesting. Yeah, exactly, guys. It's what I always say. It's funny. If you build more of them, the price goes down. Now, I know what people are going to say. $2 billion per capsule? What are you, nuts? That's total cost involved. That's not the price of a capsule. The price of the capsule is probably like a quarter of that. But it turns out all the people, all the technicians, engineers, so they can go home and feed their children. Not their children grow up big, strong, so on and so forth. Yeah, all that adds up. All the facilities that it uses, everything. It foots the bill on the ONC Center. The Orion program is keeping the lights on at KSC. So is SLS for that matter. But you get what I'm talking about. Doubt NASA is going to continue the Artemis project. We have major budget concern. Third parties may make this project redundant. Yeah, I disagree, Journey, pretty much on every level. I think that getting rid of it would be stupid. Anytime somebody proposes a cheaper solution, it never ends well. Ever. Like, ever. Case in point, Apollo to the space shuttle, or shuttle to Constellation, or Constellation to commercial. Now, I know what people are going to say. Well, you SpaceX. Yeah, that's right. I know. I'm a big SpaceX fan. I understand that. How long did we go without flying people to the space station? Oh, yeah. Took a while. And even then, NASA has the dexterity through its commercial customers, which basically of the Gemini program at this point. I.e., NASA has the same capability, even with commercial partners, that they had in 1965. So tell me again why we would stop doing this. No, that's not the right solution. It's never been the right solution. Journey, that's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. First of all, that money doesn't just go to SpaceX. Second of all, that's less money for NASA. Ain't nobody here going to tell me that less money for NASA is a better thing. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Thirdly, look, do you want a commercial company being the only way to get to the moon? That doesn't sound like a good idea. Simultaneously, do you want the government being the only people that get to the moon, that have access to the surface of the moon? Pretty sure the last time that happened, we entered a period of stagnation and then got stuck in low Earth orbit for 30 years. I also don't want that. The most sustainable way forward, not the least expensive, the most sustainable way forward for the space program is to have both of those things. Am I right? Think about it for a second. Now, don't get me wrong. You can still disagree with me. That's cool. That's fine. It's okay. But think about it, dude. Which article do you want? The government is broke, I agree. Well, I know, Journey, current events. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, we got a little bit of a problem. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you. But see, guys, it's interesting to understand that, like, so Journey, I don't know how up to snuff you are on like economics, dude. I know you. I know you've been in the stream. I know you, but I've never actually. I don't remember any particular conversation with you about this stuff. But like, here's the thing: they ain't gonna stop printing money. Ain't gonna stop printing money. Our money isn't bound to any good. It's bound to confidence. So basically, our dollar is kind of what we wish it to be. You know what I mean? Because it's backed on confidence, and there's a lot of inflation. Well, guess what? Debt is a hedge against inflation. They ain't gonna stop. They ain't gonna stop. Like, I don't think they will. At least I don't know. I mean, kind of hope they balance the budget. Like, that'd be kind of nice, but who knows? I got my reservation email from Ford to order my Lightning today. Not sure if I want to hold on to it till the 2024s are released. Oh, there you go, Facha. That's cool. Scott Manley just said so much for it being reusable. For what being reusable? The capsule? Oh. I love that guy. Scott's funny, man. Pulling money from NASA to try to fix the budget is like trying to lose weight by getting a haircut. Yep. Oh, you're talking about bricks. Oh, yeah, that. Yeah, dude. Journey. I don't know. I don't know from there, dude. That's getting into economics that I don't understand, to be quite frank. And I you know what? One of the best things I've learned from learning about the space program is admitting wholeheartedly, with complete honesty, that you are completely out of your weight class. You know what I mean? I don't know enough about economics to be able to know if that's going to screw stuff up. I have like basic economic skills, you know what I mean? So that's getting way out of my wheelhouse, man. I don't know. Yeah, you might be right. I really hope that wouldn't happen. That would suck. But yeah. The UK has no need to talk, to be honest. We totally haven't had 5 prime ministers in 6 years, 3 of them in the last 10. What are you saying, Alleviate? Well, that was fast. Trust me. Oh my god. What are you guys doing? What? 45 days? Wait. Don't ask. It's a mess, dude. You know what? I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that. I don't. Dude, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Let's just go back to talking about spaceships or something. Like, what? Oh my god. The lettuce one. Blondie coming back as well? Guys, at least it's not boring, I guess. Like, at least it's not boring. Like, at least it's not boring. I mean, but see the link. Lettuce for context. No way. No way. A wilting 60 pence iceberg. A wilting 60 pence iceberg lettuce from Tesco in a blonde wig has been crowned the winner of a bizarre competition after outlasting Liz Truss's tenuous grip on power. May you live in interesting times is a curse, though. I know. Oh. I don't know. I don't really have anything to say, fellas. I'm sorry. If it's UK is sinking like the tea. What's funny, it is a bit roulette that she's now entitled to 115K a year for life. Would you sport a Gulfstream hat if I sent some of the swag from NBAA to you? Yes. Alleviate Bro's like, I don't really have anything to say one way or the other, dude. I have trouble understanding my own political system at times, let alone the UK's. Like, I know a little bit about it, but I ain't weighing in on that one. My bandwidth for knowing things stops at politics. You know? I can only devote so much memory to memorization. I choose to memorize, like, how a rocket engine works. You know what I mean? Like, lettuce for PM. Were you not just saying that if you're in over your head, get out? No, it's okay to admit that you're in over your head. Wait, you understand our sometimes? I think. Maybe? Bono for Prime Minister. Can someone from Ireland do that, Frill? I don't know. Quick question. Did they figure out what happened with Capstone? No, but they got it back, someone. Yeah, she's working again. I don't... Yeah, alleviate. I don't know what's happening. But like I said, at least it ain't boring, I guess. Yeah, Tesla, I'm kind of with you on that one. Can I give you a brief... Still sick. Can you give me a brief overview of Starship? Yeah, they stacked S-24 and 7 again and moved 25 to the suborbital testing pad today. Starship per Elon is in line for a launch in December. I popped in on the tail end of that article. Is it confirmed that Orion A4 Plus are in the books? That's right. Yes. Yeah. This is the IDIQ for Artemis 5, 6, and 7. Save your voice. Go Clint again. All right. I heard somewhere that one of the sea level raptors are dented. Is that just a rumor? No idea. Oh, man. Plus, does he work around the orbital launch base? Is major? Is that an illusion? Yeah. So, guys, SpaceX is in the final, like, 90% of the way to get to launch that first Starship stack. The thing is, the final 90% is going to take the most amount of time. So, I'll tell you, for, like, the next month and a half, it's going to look like Booster 7 and Ship 24 are just sitting there doing nothing. I assure you that's not what's going on. One is a bit dented, it seems, the back sea level one. Yeah, I see it. Man, fucking stuffy nose. When will Artemis go up? They're scheduled for the 14th, man. Oh, jeez, dude. I'm really running out of gas here. It'll buff out. Yeah, it'll buff out when they go to fire the rocket engine, I'm pretty sure. Oh, man. They still need a destack for the final launch stuff, so they might switch it then. Yeah, there's a little thing going on here. This is coming from RGV, guys, by the way. Do you run on 93 or 110? Do I run what on 93? Those are beefy engines. Orion engines? No, that was Starship, Asmalok. Yeah. Octane. Octane, dude. You said they were running out of gas. Oh, yeah. What's coffee's octane rating? Were we gonna get some detonation with coffee? Guys, I'm not as sharp as I usually am, man. This whole thing is really a big debuff to EJ's perception. It's a perception debuff. About 350, yeah. I say what I say lightheartedly. Yeah, I got you. Roll with disadvantage. Oh, yeah, no good. Sorry, the Liz Truss thing piqued my curiosity. I'm like, now I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, I want to go read about it, but I'm not doing that on stream. All right, do we have any other news? I I know, Tessa. I said just stop. First time we were able to see that. Oh, that's cool. Maybe they're welded the doors closed for Starlink launchers due to a lack of structural support in a vacuum. Maybe they need a carbon fiber inner liner. I don't know, maybe. She's the first PM in 70 years to survive under two monarchs. To serve under two monarchs. Interesting floating. Starship probably just needs a... God damn it, soapbox. I have an idea, EJ for PM. Maybe we get a space program. Alleviate. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. You do not want me getting into politics. It would end very poorly. EJ, what's the first thing that you're gonna do as president? Space. Just space, that's it. Fund NASA. Well, what about the huge budget constraints that we have? Fund NASA. I don't think you understood what I said. Well, but how are we supposed to do that when... No. Fund NASA. Mic drop. Walk away. It's not a good idea. That wouldn't end well. They'd be like, how are you willing to fund NASA? Ha ha ha. Money printer go brrrr. Let's focus on space, man. The United States of space. I'm not stopping at the moon. Write this down. M-A-R-S. Mars, chat. Red rocks. Yeah. You would last 45 days in the UK. Well, better than the last one. Would there be pudding? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I have no political affiliation or any vested interest in UK politics, just in case anybody takes that literally. That's funny, Tessa. I've actually thought about how to give NASA about 15% of the federal budget, but it's spicy. Yeah, I know exactly what you'd say. I know exactly what you'd want to do. No, Zero, I haven't. But anyway. All right. Let's see. You know what? Let's see if there's any new footage from NSF. You know, good cap off to space news, dudes. Yeah, Clayton, that's why I have a pretty good rule against it. That fellas, and I'm a damn Twitch streamer. Why do you want my political opinions? What makes you think I'm even remotely qualified for that? Now, with spaceflight, I think I've proven that I know what I'm talking about. But I don't want to stream for another 10 years to prove that I understand political science, because I don't. I have no idea. And even if I did, why would you want to hear my opinion? This is a space stream, man. You don't go grocery shopping at the gas station. Well, in some parts of the world you can do that because they have grocery stores with built-in gas stations, but you get the idea. You don't go, okay, let me better analogy. You don't go grocery shopping at the dry cleaners, okay? I'm your space guy, okay? Not your politics guy. There are plenty of political streamers out there. You can go watch them. My student loans will be canceled. Now I can go back to school for stuff. Bro, you're killing me. We need funding for space. You know what, Journey? Like, this is something that I can speak to, dudes. The money's there. The money is there for spaceflight. It's the plan. The plan is what sucks right now. SLS is good. It's a good rocket. It just needs a more concrete plan. Now, if it was up to me, SLS would have its own way to get to the surface of the moon and back. I would want it on par with the Saturn V. It needs a better upper stage. It needs a dedicated lander. But also, at the same time, I would also want it to be able to rendezvous with Starship and land with Starship. Because the only way that's better than having one way to get to the moon is having two. Okay? SLS needs its own dedicated lander. NASA needs their own pathway without commercial partners, operated in-house to get to the surface of the moon with commercial as a redundancy. That's what needs to happen. That's the most sustainable way forward. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that is the least expensive way forward. It's the most expensive way by far. But it's what I've always said. The money's there. Look at how much money gets dumped at SLS. The money's there. It's the plan that isn't. What do you mean if Mark Kelly gets in? Isn't Mark Kelly a senator from Arizona? And yes, he's already a huge advocate for spaceflight, Foz. There's no ROI that's measured in tenable salary, though, with NASA Zero. That's the problem. You don't. Your benefit is scientific understanding, not necessarily profit, right? Like. Okay, come up with a measurement of that. Saying we did it and no one else has. I'm subject in the lettuce-based political system. Wasn't aware of its re-election. Okay. A challenge. A thing that serves to show that our system is the best system, right? That challenge will serve to organize and measure the best of our skills. That's a good way. All right, fine. Think you can't do it? Prove me wrong. Nothing motivates like spite in politics from what I understand, huh? That's how I would pitch it. I'm going to do that. Anyway. All right, fellas, there's no NSF update stuff here necessarily. There's the destacking, but they stacked again this morning. We kind of already covered that at the beginning of this VOD. But fellas, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. There's not much else going on, so let's take a look at the outgoing flights here, and to put it in TMRO terms, your outgoing flights. Or let's look at what missions we have on the clock here. That's Soyuz 2-1. That did get pushed again. Something weird. If I had to guess, it's with the payload, but who knows? Then we have OneWeb number 14 on a geostationary satellite launch vehicle, GSLV Mark III, an ISRO flight. That's on Saturday. That was today, but it didn't go. That one's on Saturday at 2:37. We have a Soyuz 21B Fregat M Gonets M N33 to 35. I think Gonets is a communications satellite, if I remember right. And then we have Soyuz 21A Progress MS-21 on October 25th, 2022. That's next Tuesday. There is the Formula One race this weekend. They're racing in Coda. Space launch to deploy first new generation of Airbus-built satellites. I kind of talked about that a little bit floating before you came here because I did a space news at the beginning of the stream because of the launch. And then, yeah. That was weird. The stream muted for you. Okay. Haas has a title sponsor now. Yeah, there you go. And then Launcher 1 is at the end of this month, along with Falcon Heavy. SF-44 is on Halloween. Starlink has been amazing down here in Ian response. Cool. Already see your last link. Everything is in Cornwall. Okay. This is for the Prometheus 2 mission. Here we got. Cornwall, your packages have been delivered, as opposed to potato structure. Potato ceiling. Cornwall. Pork floor. All right, let's see. So there's Cosmic Girl. That's a C-17. That is also Cosmic Girl. That's the... You know, I'm not smart enough to be able to point out the irony here, but it's kind of ironic that for a plane that launches a rocket, you need a plane to move the rocket to the plane to launch, for the plane to launch the rocket. Yep, there it is. They rolled it out of that C-17. There's the payload fairing and payload. Huh. So once again, this is in Cornwall. No one's ever launched anything from here, but then again, Virgin Orbit isn't necessarily a launch, but check this out. That's over here in the Yuck. The Ook. Yeah, here we go. It's this airport right here. At least I think, yeah, there we go. There's the hangar. Hey, Arrow Man, how are you? So yeah, that's going out of Cornwall. They're gonna launch. That'll be the first thing launched from the United Kingdom. If I had to guess, they're probably gonna fly out here and then send it up the English Channel, but who knows? You good? Right on, dude. Yep. What does the inside of Cosmic Girl look like? The launch control center is inside of it. The LCC is inside of it. It's a flying launch control center, which is actually pretty freaking cool. Interesting, Hellfish. I don't know, goalie. If I recall correctly, there was a plan to get a 747 with a nose cargo door to ship the rockets. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I was gonna say, why don't they have a 747 cargo? That'd be pretty sweet.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Yo, I am new to Twitch. Did not know Twitch has aerospace enthusiasts. Oh, Zero gave you a sub, Arrow Man. Yeah. Aerospace enthusiast. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. That's what this stream is, dude. Yeah, no, I'm a nutcase, man. I've been streaming aerospace content on Twitch for a decade. Actually, yeah, on December 23rd, it'll be a decade. Why not take the rocket and put it on the pylon? I don't know. Oh, here's the flight plan for Virgin going out here. Yeah, Arrow Man. I try to teach people. Like if you know, like Everyday Astronaut, I do what he does here on Twitch though. Yeah, pretty fun. Wow. Okay, they're launching near Shannon. Look at that. But yeah, welcome, Airman. Yeah, dude, you want to talk spaceflight content and STEM games like Kerbal and stuff and rockets or whatever, you know, like I get pretty hardcore into it. What's the point of launching that from there when they can do that they can't over here? Goalie, at the risk of sounding like a complete jerk, I'm just gonna say this. Do you think it's cheaper to operate out of Long Beach Airport in Southern California or out of some brimfuck nowhere airport in southeast or southwest England? What do you think is cheaper? Think about it that way, dude. Also, excuse my language. I'll time myself out for that one. You're an aerospace propulsion engineer, by the way, working in EU aerospace. Right on, dude. That's cool. We were looking at Ariane 6. They had the full test stack in the hangar the other day, which is pretty rad. Kness is doing a good job. Too bad it slipped. Slipped to the end of 2023, from what I understand, which kind of sucks, but... We can just get Homelander to chuck things into space. But it's a polar orbit journey, yeah. Isn't that recovery area close to major shipping lanes? Nah, shipping lanes usually stay close to coasts. Said plan from 2019. Let me see. Yeah, see, that's actually a really cool idea. I like that idea a lot. Just get a 747 cargo. Use that to move the rockets around. Have launcher rockets and have VAB rockets. That's cool. That's a good idea, Thomas. Do you know about Destinius? I'm working on cryogenic feed systems and propulsion systems using liquid hydrogen. Destinius. Let me see. This stuff, Arrowman? Oh. Ooh, let me take a look. Fastest airplanes in the movie. You're built in, okay, so you're doing hypersonic. Hypersonics. Cool. You had my curiosity, Arrow Man, but now you have my attention. This is cool, man. Yeah, hypersonic gliders, dude. Very nice. Now, I don't know about you. I'm preferential to a hypersonic glider. It's a little bit of an older hypersonic glider, but it's a good one. It's that one there on the left side of the screen. Yeah, I'm quite partial to those, if you ask me. Yeah, I like that hypersonic glider. You see that one over there? That's pretty good. No, the X-15 wasn't a glider, Zero. It wasn't a glider. It had a rocket engine in the back with a fuel tank. Differences. It's a beast on its own. I love the shuttle Arrow. It's my favorite. It was for a while. Yeah, right. Did you see Lucy's second stage came back home? No, I didn't see it. That's cool, Arrow, man. Yeah, that's really neat. I will keep an eye on this, dude, if you don't mind. Every day I do kind of a little state of what's going on in the industry thing. It's the Space and Rocket Review. Yeah, I'm here 5 days a week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Here, and we talk about space. We talk about what's going on in the industry. Try to choose a different topic every day. I'm gonna keep Destinius on my radar here. That's cool. Good stuff, man. Well, it's good to meet you. I'm EJ. Yeah, dude, we're big aerospace nerds in here. And I'm not talking like, oh my gosh, I love space flight. I don't keep this book on my desk for no reason. You know, I want the math, and I want the hard stuff, the difficult stuff. You know, like balancing axial thrust on a centrifugal turbine. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we talk about in here. We get into really some real nerd stuff in here. That's what we like doing. This ain't just, oh my god, rockets are cool. No. They are. But we get into the really nerd stuff. Like, I teach, I show people the difference between open and closed cycle motors, different propellants, impulses with different propellants, mixtures, stuff like that. We get into pretty hard propulsion. Read us a rocket engine bedtime story. Read me a bedtime story. Read it yourself. Right? If you guys need any help understanding, let me know. Hey, stick around, dude. Like, I'm here every day. I could always use more input because I'm not an engineer, Arrow, man. I'm self-taught when it comes to this. It's taken me a decade to figure this the frick out. It's really hard when you have no teacher and no curriculum. It's not hard. It's nothing hard, man. Oh, okay. Yeah, man. Yeah. No, I teach it to anybody. It's doing it. That's the tough part. You learn stuff here every day. Yeah, I appreciate that, Slacker. Ooh, how about learning about concentric ring injectors? In large gas-liquid injectors, such as those used for hydrogen and oxygen engines, the manifold is somewhat similar, with a roughly equivalent lockstone, but the fuel manifold is generally another cavity below the dome. Figure 454 shows one of the J2 injectors that had this general configuration. These engines usually employ a concentric element. The central oxidizer tube of each element carries the oxidizer down through the fuel manifold. Fuel surrounds this post and enters into the individual element through a fuel sleeve. The injector face is supported against the manifold pressure by these element assemblies. In the J2 configuration shown, the faceplate was a transpiration-cooled, porous, stainless steel plate mechanically attached to the LOX post structure by a mechanical flare joint. Most recent engines typically use a mechanical threaded face nut system. With smaller injector assemblies, such as the gas generator injector, shown in figure 455, the injector manifold can be machined directly into a homogeneous injector body. Drilled radial passages directly feed fuel. Oxidizer injection orifices are drilled directly into a LOX dome equivalent cavity. I read that whole thing about concentric injector rings, and all you guys heard was face nut. It's difficult at times, Arrow, man. Did you know that there are aerospace classes on EDX? Yes. Injectors is art, my friend. You've worked on pintles and conventional coaxial injectors. Coaxial's tough, dude. That swirl port is where it's at, though, man. Am I right? That swirl port. Pintles are cool, though. Got to get that throttle ability. Yeah, radio fuel delivery, dude. talk to people about those with the Merlin engines when we're talking about how Falcon 9 lands, and the LMDE, which is where Tom Mueller got the idea from. But yeah, have you taken any of them? No, not really. I read the book Successum. I go right to the source. Well, not as much as Pintle. Yeah, yep. Yeah, Factor is cool. LMS ratios on Pintles are crazy to calibrate. Yep. Yeah. And Arrowman, yeah, I tell people that if you don't get it right, the rocket engine usually explodes. Yeah, usually just blows up. The plan for the Cargo 747 is already underway, with the Virgin Orbit signing an agreement earlier this year to get 2 more 747s. This turbocharger. Will you be making an audiobook version? Maybe. Haven't been able to watch this much this week. I'm a senior AE and I had an aerospace structures test today. Like you say, got to focus on school first. That's right. Why does EJ sound like Curly when he sneezes? Anyway. Yeah, Arrow Man, welcome to the channel. That's cool. Anyway, guys, with that being said, I think I'm going to pack it in. I'm going to take another short day here. Just one more short day, and then we should be good. The Guppy had issues. Thanks, guys. I feel welcome. Right on, man. It's cool. It's always good to have somebody in the industry to back me up, just in case I say something stupid. That happens sometimes. Another short day. That's a full working day here.